My name is Mwalimu Mutemi Wakiama, founder, Uzalendo Halisi Foundation. Welcome to the Utu na Uzalendo podcast. In this episode, we feature the story of Maina Maseeti. Maina is the owner of the Usanii Mashariki gallery at the waterfront in Karen. He has graciously allowed us to use his gallery for these podcasts. Listen to his story. Hi Maina.
Hello.
Welcome to the Utu na Uzalendo podcast.
Asante.
Karibu sana. Thanks for agreeing to be a guest. The Utu na Uzalendo podcast is about showcasing Kenya's alternative leadership, and also that the fact that leadership is not just about politics, that leadership can be found in many, many places. And I hope with your story we'll be able to demonstrate that to the viewers, to Kenyans and the listeners. So I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself, your name, where you come from, where you went to school, then we'll pick it up from there.
Okay. Asante Kiama. Umenikaribisha kwangu. So, Maina Maseeti. I was born in Nairobi, 1971, and then lived in Nairobi about 2 years, moved to Njoro about a year, or then went to Nakuru. I started schooling in Nakuru, kindergarten. Lived in Nakuru, then moved to Kericho. I think I was in class 2. Lived there about a year. Then I moved to Kisumu. So Kisumu, I did my primary school there in Kisumu. Why we moved was because when we about 2 years old, we had these issues with asthma. And then the doctor said at that time, you have to move to a warm place. So being in Nakuru, they said, so you either go to Mombasa or your family moves to Kisumu. So Kisumu, I think my mom chose Kisumu because she has some relatives there. My mom is from Uganda. There's a lot of her relatives in Kisumu. So we moved to Kericho first, then Kisumu. Kisumu, we moved there, I think it was 1978. It was 1979 I started schooling. I did class 8 in Kisumu. And then went to high school, general area, Maseno. And then also in 1985, we moved we're staying in the town. We moved to Mashambani Sasa, which I think was the best thing that ever happened.
Your mom bought a farm?
She actually bought some land in Kericho, bordering Kisumu border. Still the dry area is the sugar belt area. And then also my dad also came and bought. So they bought land at the same time. And then we moved to that place. So when I went to high school, I went to boarding school. And we were coming back now to the farm. So we would come and there was no house really built up, some mabati house with some drums. So we would come and we'd be the fundi boys over the holidays. Najenga kosi mbili, you come back August, another 2-3 courses. You come back in December, maybe now you finish up the roof. So it was always, the home was always a work in progress, and it was always being changed. The way my father's mind used to work, he was always changing, shifting things up and down. So now that's where we grew up as a teenager, and a lot of now my early life, my 20s. So that
is in at the border of Kericho.
Yeah, it is a place. It's 5 kilometers to a town called Awasi. So it is the border. Our farm, the eastern fence to the east is the actual border. So our fence on this side is Kericho, on that side is Kisumu. So our fence forms the border. So that's how it's a very interesting place because the people who live there, the Kipsigis who live there, on our side are not counted as true Kipsigis by the rest of the people in Kericho, because they say they're all mixed up with the Luo
Is this one of
people.
the places that has conflict
It
or
does have,
sporadic conflict?
it has not our exact place, but 6-7 kilometers around that area, you always have conflicts because of this area was settled by people during the time they were doing the sugar cane. The government came and made sugar schemes and all that, and they brought people to settle in. And so you have a lot of people came in from other areas. And then you had a lot of Wazungu shambas. Before they did sugarcane, they were doing sisal and also coffee in the highland areas, for Tenan areas. And then in the colonial era, the people who were a large part of the population relocated because of the emergency, the Nandi population. So Kipsigis people moved in, and the government took some large chunks of land. They actually cut into Kericho district and made it part of Kisumu. And they did these sugar schemes. So you always have politicians always coming on Amsha Vita. Further down, you have Sondu. Going towards the south, you have Sondu area, maybe about 30 kilometers away in a straight line. So Sondu, you always have those kind of clashes.
Okay, well, these skirmishes happening as we speak today.
They always have. And then there's also a lot of cattle rustling. There's an enormous amount of it. In fact, most of the neighbors around used to be, they say, retired cattle rustlers. And of course they're retired, but I'm sure they've passed on the skills. Even my one of my bulls was actually stolen once. So it's well known for cattle rustling, that area.
So you talked about your mom buying land and then your dad buying land. Like why were they buying land separate?
Well, my father had many wives. He had 4 official wives. My mom was number 4. And so we generally grew up like, how do you say, an absentee father, that kind of thing. So what he would do, he'd set up a homestead for all his wives. He had set up by the time he married my mom, whom he met in Uganda, in Kampala. And he had set up homesteads for them except for my mom. So when we were in Kisumu, she had already purchased land in that area. I think she preempted him. I think he had mentioned he likes the area or something. So he came and bought land maybe about 4 kilometers away from where she bought. She actually bought 14 acres of land. He bought, I think, 6 or 7. Over time, he added to it. So where he bought the land, that's where he came and formed the homestead for my mom. So he said, now this is your home. So all the other wives have homes. This is now your home, you and your children. So it's okay in the Kipsigis tradition. That's what is a Kipsigis. That's how you do it. So every wife you set them up.
You're Maina. I thought that's a Kikuyu name.
It's a Kipsigis name. Yes, it is a Kikuyu name.
Yeah.
But it is there in Kipsigis, in Luyas, in Kisi, because it's a name. It's an age-set name, and it comes from an ancestor who I think was from what I've heard, he was a very renowned. Actually, he was supposed to be a Luya, one of the healers. I was told by some person a long time back. So this person's name was carried in very many communities, but in Kikuyu naming, they carry names forward from the father. So you find in Kikuyus, the name would be carried forward. But for Kipsigis, you're given a name for a reason. There is a default name, but like time of day, season of birth, something that was happening, maybe it was harvest, maybe it was drought, but you're also given a specific name, you see. So my father told me you could have up to 9 default names. So if no one named you, they were names that you just automatically get or be given, you see. But so he named me after an age set, which is Maina, and my bro after another age set, which is Xhuuma. And it's a name which somehow I don't like. Reason being,
You get these questions all the time.
No, I don't mind the questions, but when I understand the meaning of that, him giving me that name is it gives me responsibility. Yeah, I have responsibility to bear a burden of people whom I don't even know.
Your age set.
Yeah, my age. Okay, mine is not my age set, but him giving me that name, he gives me a responsibility that I will bear people's burdens, people whom I don't even know. You see, you'll fight people's battles, people you never even know. People they never even know you fought that battle.
And has that been your character?
Somehow it has been. A lot of times it has been. I know you are a stone thrower. I've never thrown stones. Not even a bat. But I have thrown stones.
Yeah. I just throw verbal stones. I don't throw physical stones. Yeah.
I have thrown verbal stones, and I'm always rocking the boat. And now, when you rock the boat, two things happen. The boat will collapse with all of you guys, or you'll be thrown out. You're rocking the boat when you're rushwa engine.
And then they move on and
then they move on. So that has happened to me a lot.
Yeah. Tell us a bit more about this father of yours who was polygamous at the time. I think when it wasn't sexy to be polygamous, 4 wives. Who's your dad?
He's known as Dr. Taita Towet. He was
that's the famous former education minister.
Yeah, he's well known for that.
Regardless, is eccentric.
Yes.
But I don't know. What do you think? Also tell us about it.
It's funny because you see, when you have parents, to you they're just parents. Later on, when you go to different places, like high school and such kind of places, that's when people tell you about your father, if he's well known, like
their perception of him.
Yeah, and they tell you, and that's when you start realizing, so there's something a bit different about the man. And then also, since he was generally absent, we were not growing up with him because he had his own homestead and then he just visited his wives. And now my mom being further away in Kisumu, there was a point where he was not frequently with us. Him being, especially when he was in the parliament, the family that was in Langata, where I was born, he was probably they saw more of him. And the family that were in Kericho and in Sotik, where his constituency was in that area, they probably saw more of him than us. That time we were in Nakuru. And often he would be at my mom's house or our house because he was running away from people who were looking for him in the obvious places. You see? So a lot of times he would be there.
It was like a sanctuary.
Yes. And he's not to be disturbed and no one should know he's there. And he always used to say he can never stay in a house where there's no back door because he was always exiting, running away from.
Who was he running away from?
Well, people want to help me, my son, to go to school. He was, being in education, he was giving away a lot of bursaries and all those kind of things. And in his time, they did a lot. The government had a lot of this building of Harambee schools. So if you go in so many places in Kenya, you'll always see opened by Dr. Toet like that.
With your mom, your family is where he would come for peace, kind of.
Yes, because I think also we were young. In fact, my mom is, I think, a year older than his firstborn. No, my firstborn, we are, I think, 35 that I know, siblings. And 3 of those or 4 I knew about, I think, last year when we went to the funeral of one of my stepmothers. Then I met some old guys and said, yeah, there's me and there's 3 of my sisters. I'd never met them before. I had heard about them. So my mom is about the age. Let me take you back a bit. He was in politics, or rather he went to school he was born in 1925. And then very poor family. Poor because his father and his uncles, they had come from Kisii. He traces his roots back to, I think should be North Mugirango or Kisii. So Kipsigis are generally, loosely speaking, they are Nandis, then you bring in Masai and you bring in Kisi. So Kisis, Kipsigis, you can trace your lineage either back to Masais who mixed in with Nandi or Kisi. So for me, I trace back to my grandfather, from my father's side, to the Kisi. So they came to the, I think in the 1910s, I can't remember, they get incorporated into the Kipsigis side and they settled there. So they were not very wealthy people. And then his father died when he was, I think, 9 years old. There should have been three, him and a sister and a brother. And then anachunga ng'ombe, doing odd jobs for the other people in the community. But he was bright because he used to ace the exams. And in fact, he says his first pair of shoes he wore when he was now taken to Alliance.
So he went to Alliance.
Yeah, so when he was being taken there, then
the Alliance guys say I went to Alliance.
Yeah, he did go.
Among those first.
Yeah, in fact, that should have been 1930 something, maybe 38, maybe 1940. And in fact, Jenga Karume was his buddy. So when people say, Jenga Karume says he never went to school, my father would laugh. He said, but he was my best friend in school. But there's a tree where
Jenga Karume went to Alliance also?
Yes. They were best friends and they even wrote the initials somewhere on a tree or on a wall or something. So he was there, good student, and then he left. He went to do teaching in Maseno, and then he went to some college for government. He did he was a social service worker in the 50s. And of course, his mind was active. And I always felt he needed to do something more for people. I don't know, maybe his character, maybe he felt an outcast because he also never was very close to his own family. I do not even know my father's cousins. I'm in the process of going to look for them, which is a bit exciting, but it's also strange. He never, ever told me anything about any cousin, any aunt, any nobody, except what I found out by myself. So he goes to work for the government, social services. He's heavily involved in the freedom from the self-rule. I think the best word, people say independent, but I think the best word is self-rule. So we're agitating for self-rule. Because economic rule, they never gave us. We don't have economic freedom. We do have freedom politically somewhat. So anyway, he joined KADU. He was with a lot of people, John Keane and all those kind of people. And he also did some work with some local regional newspapers at that time. And he used to go around on his bicycle. I think as a social worker, they were given bicycles to move around with. And he also bought a car about that same time, maybe when he was a social worker, I can't remember. And his Mzungu boss, I think, was so pissed off because he was going to learn how to drive. And they asked, whose car is that? And when he was told that's his own car, which is bought. I think it could have been a Fiat. I'm not so sure. But he did buy a succession of cars. Now, a Fiat that time was like having a Subaru. People had Volkswagens, they had Morris Minors, they had Ford Anglias. His boss, I think, had a Ford Anglia. So this guy buys a Fiat, which is like now you have a Subaru. So everybody was looking.
He was living on the fast lane.
Yeah, I think he ended up being transferred. So anyway, he agitates for all these legico seats. He travels around most of Bomet, Narok, because it was a large area you're representing, and he also was part of the delegation to Lancaster. So he was the guy who was generally behind the scenes because he was a strategist. He was writing for them the constitution. He was strategizing and getting people on board. And he was also very good at learning things, book academic. So he was learning and reading a lot of stuff. So anyway, independence comes and he's in the government. He's one of the first MPs in that area. But he never stopped learning. And all his learning, he was learning from correspondence.
I think that's what he's known for. Yeah.
Yes, he has got several degrees, I think a PhD in theology. And all this he's doing as a member of parliament, as Minister of First and Social Services.
Through correspondence, you say?
Yes.
So self-educated kind
Yes.
of.
So they were doing the boundaries and all this. So he was heavily involved in the boundaries, creating the provinces and all that kind of things. And that's how he goes to Kampala, because it was East African community, and he meets my mom, who is staying at her cousin. Her cousin is working at the Kampala City Council. My mom is come there because her brothers wanakula fees zake. The father, she's the last born of I think 10 siblings. They don't want to go to school. One of them went to school but amekuwa mlevi. So wanashinda wakikula fees. Take this girl to school, all that, wanakula fees. So she goes to stay with her cousin. She's sent to stay with her cousin. And she's also a good student, very beautiful. And so jamaa kamwona pale, I think akasema huyu simwache. Somehow he got her to come to Kenya. He didn't come with her, but she says, according to her, she was conned into coming. She said, she claims she was coming. Mi nilijua nakuja kusoma.
Akatuma fare.
Alituma fare. Akaja, 1970. And he actually takes her to his house in Langata, which is his second wife. And so she's there in his second wife's house
And going
as
to
the
school.
fourth wife. She doesn't go to school immediately. She gets pregnant immediately. And this second wife actually goes to study nursing. So she's there having to take care of this woman's children plus her two babies as this lady goes for
You are
2
a twin,
years.
yeah? You have a twin
Yeah, I
brother.
have a twin brother. It's called Xhuuma. Yeah, so she's there taking care of him. And then that's how we're in Langata, then we go to Nakuru. In Nakuru, we actually stayed in a county council house. And then my mom started going back to, we used to have the junior high where you'd go Form 3 and 4. So she repeated here. She used to take us to kindergarten, and she's
And then she go to school.
Yeah, she's going in uniform Afraha High School. Was it Nakuru Day? Anyway, it was next to Afraha. And then we were going to a kindergarten, and then we went to a primary school, St. Joseph's. So she'd be in uniform, anatuingiza pale na yeye anaelekea mbele. And it was a very funny experience. It was because it was not unusual. Okay, it was normal to you, but to other people is when you find out it's actually not normal. Remember, huyu ni bibi ya minister ya education. This is 1976.
Na ni mtoto wa shule.
1975, 1977. And she's going back to school. She was, I think, 22 years old. And she was also learning Kiswahili. And so she taught us Kiswahili. So she was learning Kiswahili, she was teaching me Kiswahili. And for some reason, my father, which is very strange, for somebody who has a degree in linguistics, was written a dictionary, Kalenjin, Kiswahili, and that kind of stuff. I think he's also did a translation of some parts of the Bible. So this is a person who discouraged us from learning Kipsigis.
Aye.
He did not want us to learn it. Much later in life, I understood somehow what he was doing. I don't know if he was doing it consciously or it's just, the way you do something for your children, it feels the thing to do for them. I think this child, I need to push them in this direction. Maybe you don't even think why. Maybe it's just that's how it seems. Yani hiyo mtoto amejileta, hiyo ndio line unamsukuma. Much later in life, I can look at myself and my community, where my father or my mother comes from a very different perspective, as somebody who is outside of it.
Looking in.
So I'm almost, very often I'm an outsider on the inside.
Do you speak Kipsigis, brother? No.
I understand it. I used to speak, my mother's language is Sebei. So Kisebei now is like the original Kalenjin language.
Oh,
Yes.
from Uganda now.
Yes, from the slopes of Mount Elgon. Then on the Kenya side, they're called Sabot. And then there's a small group in Nandi Hills called Nyangori or Tarik. People call them Nyangori, but their real name is Tarik. It's a small section. So their language is like, say, if you now go, we are speaking Kiswahili. Tukienda Lamu, what they speak.
That deep.
Proper grammar, proper vocabulary. Versus Kipsigis, which will have a lot of...
The influence now from the Maasai,
it has and also Kiswahili. A lot of vocabularies are actually English words or Kiswahili words. You see, like a common word like
that have been
salt.
Kipsigized.
Yeah, and then like some people say salt, they say chumbi or chumbi,
which is Swahili,
just
basically.
Kiswahili. And my mother, they'll call it mshondet, which if you ask a Kipsi, they'll wonder, what the hell are you talking about? You see, so from my mother's side, because we also stayed with my grandma, we speak a lot of it. I could understand them perfectly well. But as we grew up, again, funnily enough, my grandmother would discourage, and my aunt, we also stayed with her, my mother's cousin, since you were about 8 years old. She'd say, if you speak this language, that time, it was that mkiongea lugha za Kiafrika, Kiswahili na Kiingereza itapotea.
And actually, I think that generation that you're in, which is my generation. I remember when you're in high school, they would hang something on us to make sure they don't speak Kikuyu in Central. Yeah. So it used to be called the Monto.
Yeah.
And so I think there was a kind of a government policy in education, actually, to discourage the use of our local languages. True. Yeah.
In fact, it was in growing up in Kisumu, there was a drive for excellence, because we felt always, the feeling was that we need to catch up. Always. In the school I went with, it was always, we are number 2, we need to be number 1. We are number 3, we need to be number 2 and number 1. And it was always, there was so much anti-indigenous languages. They had what we was calling, it was a disc or a card they introduced, where if you spoke something which was not in English, but even a Swahili word, you'd be given, and
you're ashamed and ostracized.
And then you go around the playground looking for the next child. You'd even try and con and trick people to just say one word in vernacular or in Kiswahili, then you hand it over to them. Then at the end of the day, the person who has that disc, you're told, nani alikupea? Okay, no, they're not saying Kiswahili, they're saying in English. Who gave it to you? This person, one kiboko, one kiboko, one kiboko, one. So you have a line of 25, 30, 40, even 50 people. So and so gave it to me. Which word did you say? I said this word. Which did you say? Sema asante. Kiboko, kiboko, kiboko. So we were made not to. And then also the government had made Kiswahili optional. Then at some point they made it compulsory. Like now, it's funny, they're saying it's now again optional, which is weird, it being the national language. In fact, it's a foolish move. Whoever's come up with that, that's just foolishness. So I didn't have that language. And then now, when you go to Kisumu, there are only 2 Kipsigis kids. In the whole school, I think it's me and my brother, and I think there are 4 Nandi children. And 2 are brothers, brother and sister. And there's one boy, and his father was Nandi, his mother was Luo, and his one. So it's like in that school we have 5 or 4 people who are Kalenjin, and then the rest are either Luo, majority are Luo, a bit of Kisi, a bit of Luya, and about a third or a quarter are Asian. So the school I went in Kisumu. Kisumu at that time is basically all the commerce was Asians. Either Asians or a lot of Kikuyus and a few Luyas, a few Luos, that time in the 70s and the 80s.
Did you learn Luo?
Well, I can speak it. I could speak it. I could now. I could understand it because you could pick it up. And then my mom also secluded us. You used to be virtually locked in the house. You not go. You either go to school, you come back. She used to say if you go to the playground, you're going to pick up bad habits. So we used to watch people play from the balcony. We were on the
Wow.
third floor,
Yeah, I can
second floor.
imagine. Yeah,
So me, my
I see
brother,
that
and
in
my sister.
kids today.
So my mom used to be, you're going out, controlled time to go. Maybe once in a month, you can go play with kids downstairs. Others, you just watch from afar. He says, there are four of you. That time we were three. My sister, youngest sister, was born in 1985. Play together. So we grew up, three of us playing together. So a small family within a much bigger family. Now, when we move to the farm now, the Luos, the Kipsigises.
You know, I was wondering
So-
actually why you said you're very excited to move to a farm. Now I can understand
Yeah.
because here you are in an apartment,
Yes.
closed space.
Yes.
Then now when you go to a farm,
Exactly.
you have an expanded space.
In just snap of your finger, here we are. The kitchen is 20 paces away. You sleep here. There's cows, there's goats, there's chicken.
And it's a developing home. It's not,
Yeah,
you know,
which is perfect. I mean, for boys, that's perfect. They want something where they feel you wake up, it's something new happening. And then the place was snake infested. So you used to have sticks all over.
killing snakes.
They have killed, I don't know, 40, 50 snakes.
Yeah.
So God forgive me for that.
So you know that would be strange. Like everybody during when I was growing up, everybody
Yeah.
wanted to belong to say they come from the city or a town. You, it was the reverse.
It's
You
the
wanted to go to
reverse.
the village.
In fact, I'm the reluctant Nairobi. I'm the person I never wanted to be in Nairobi. I'm here by, it's another story. I was forced to come here. I never ever dreamt or wanted or imagined I'll stay in Nairobi for 30 years. I always just want to be in, farm life.
Yeah. So now we are at your place, the
Yes.
Gallery.
Yes,
in,
yeah.
the Gallery Usanii Mashariki.
Yes.
At the waterfront. Beautiful art all around. You have two spaces. I think the biggest gallery in Nairobi at the moment. How did you end up in art? Are you an artist? What's the
In
story
art,
behind it?
I don't know where to start, from the ending or the beginning. The ending being today, or not so ending from the current time. Okay, I was never allowed to draw because, again, the generation which we came in, we are not supposed to do creative things.
It was considered ukora.
Yeah, I knew Cora, I'm a failures, or they don't even know what it was because there was a lot of puritanism just coming from the colonial era.
Go to school, become number one, become a lawyer, architect, or engineer.
Now the funny thing is, they never wanted me to do anything creative, but nobody, even up till today, my mom says I don't have a job. She's never ever told me what work she wishes. Once she
thinks you don't have a job.
She knows I don't have.
Oh.
She says I've never had a job.
Yeah.
She's never said I have a job.
Yeah.
So 5 years back, she mentioned to somebody, "Oh, you're an Nakwanga artist." That's the first time I ever heard us remotely say anything related to her career and me. But she's never ever told me what she wished I would be. A long time back, she said she was going around saying I'm going to be a priest, Catholic. But it came from me because I went to cut this, the catechism and all that when we were, remember I went to a Catholic school.
You went to a,
Yeah, my mom was brought up as a Catholic.
Goan school was a Catholic school.
Not Goan school, when we were in my primary school in Nakuru, St. Joseph's. That was a very weird thing. My mom that time was a Catholic, practicing Catholic. And she stopped not after some time. And so I started going to those classes. And I was even thrown out of, I was rocking the boat in Sunday school. Because I asked about Cain, where they say he had to be put a mark so that the people know who he is and what he's done. I said, so those other people, who are those people? That means there were other people. And then they could not answer. And I was
You're not
saying,
supposed to ask
yeah,
questions.
and
You're
then I
supposed to
said,
to have faith and
yes.
believe
And
without questioning.
yeah, and then there's the lineage of Cain and Sham and all that, which
Yeah, I
they,
think I have a almost similar story,
Yeah.
but mine was I asked, as a kid, I asked the Sunday school teacher who, forgive me, because she must have been just a young girl,
Sure.
in primary
They
school.
always were.
But I was a kid and I thought these are an adult,
Mhm.
And I'm like, are you saying that our great grandfathers and all those Africans who have died since the world was created, who never heard about Jesus, because we just heard about Jesus the other day when the white people came, we never go to heaven? What kind of God is that who creates people and then punishes them for not hearing that message? And I didn't even know what question I was asking. I was not, it had not really formulated. And this person was like, what is this kid asking? And of course you're pinched and then you're
Yeah.
told, believe.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes. Yeah. That's how it was. And I was uncomfortable. I went because my mom she wanted us to get baptized. So she had got certain names she wanted to put on us. And my father said, no, they have to know why you're giving them that name. So they have to get baptized. And then, so she has pushed us into that kind of thing. And then when we went to Kericho, we stayed there about a year. We were going for those. And we could speak the Lord's Prayer and I don't know all this. We could say it in English, in Kiswahili. We could even do it backwards.
Allah?
We used to have fun among each other. I can narrate it backwards. And then one day we go to the church. We were a group of kids, but the Sunday school or somebody, she wasn't there. And there was a father. We went to his house. He said, let's come to my house as you wait for your parents to come out of the main church. And we went to his house and I saw what to me was, this is luxury. First, the guy had a very big TV and sofas and stuff. And I asked him, to my mind, all the work you do is for 3 hours on a Sunday. That's the only work you do. So I asked him, this is your house here. Of course, he says, yeah, it's mine. This is your TV. Yes, it is. Hey, okay. And all you need to do is to cram this Bible and go stand for 3 hours there and tell people
And you
things.
can have such a house.
I found my career. I think I was 7 years old. So I went home and I declared. I
Like you're
remember,
gonna be a priest.
mimi takuwa father. And my mom, I just remember the look on her face and she was there and I think she thanked all the gods. Finally, all I wanted was baptism. Now I'm getting somebody in the seminary. So from that moment on, I think I was 7 years, she kept telling everybody, huyu atakuwa pastor, huyu atakuwa father. And I went along with it and this asked me why. I said, those guys do nothing. They live in the lap of luxury. I thought that was fun. So she had it in her mind. That is that. So anyway, in future, she found out that I've got no plans whatsoever to go into that.
How she's thinking you have divine inspiration, kumbe you are just seeing luxury.
I think I really hurt her. So when we moved to Kisumu, the school we went, they really had a time in school. We could not go to the church and all that. The school was really pushing. They even put us a class back because they said, I couldn't read. I couldn't write. I couldn't read. I had refused. I had refused completely, and you were now supposed to go to class 3. So they put me back in class 2. And then the teacher there, she was called Mrs. Atemo. Hey, God bless her. How she taught me how to read. It was a Goan school. There was a big book. I wish I could get that book. Large book, as big as this. You have to open like this. And it was written it was from India. It had, I think it had Gujarati and Kihindi written in the writing and in English. Beautiful pictures. I've never seen pictures like that. A lot of them were religious. A lot of them were about life in India. It was an old book, maybe written in the 40s. And she just gave me that book after class 2, you go home after 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock. I'd stay back up till 4.
You just go through that.
She never asked me to do anything. Just flick through that book. I just sit there for 2 hours. And after about 2 months, I could read. I wish she gave me 6 months. Maybe I would have been reading Kihindi now.
And King Gujarati.
But anyway, so I could read the English.
Mm.
And then she would now give me the Peter and Jane and all that. Because when they'd give me Peter and Jane when I was in class 1, I started drawing the boy, I drew the dog. I actually drew the picture. The page here with the part of the ball, I try and draw it. And the teacher, of course, would punish me.
So you are an artist from the word go?
I was. But then it was, again...
But of course, the education system did not support the development of that.
But they said you should write. I said, I don't want to write. I never even in kindergarten, mimi nilikataa kuimba hata hizo wimbo. I said ni ya watoto. Sasa wewe ni mtoto, I said mimi sitaki. Mimi nakaa hivi. So I used to go sit back there and they'd clap at me if I'd sing one word. London Bridge is falling down. I said, down. Maina, down. They don't clap. Oh, he sang. You know.
You are kichwangumu.
I was... No, why? You see, I was asked my mom and my father, why are you going to school when you're 4 or 5 years old? Oh, to learn about the world. Oh, okay, so may I go there? Now you sit in the class, you sit and I wonder, do these guys know? They want to teach us about the world, but I'm inside the room with the windows. Sometimes you can't see out of the window, but the world is outside the window. So how are they going to teach me about what's outside? I was waiting for somebody to come and say, you guys, sorry, let's go outside, learn about the world. Of course, nobody came till I was 20. No one came. So how are we learning about the world, but we're inside? Shouldn't we be out there? So to me, school, so I said, this is a joke.
Well, that's very interesting because what is considered to be one of the best, the leading education systems in the world, the Finnish education system. I think kids just spend 2 hours in school, in class, a day.
Exactly.
Most of the time, they are out there learning.
Exactly. I that's what I thought school should be. Then when I said, okay, when we went to high school, I thought, now finally we'll do some experiments and labs, and we're doing nothing. I was already dissecting frogs. When we moved to the farm, I think I dissect, again, God forgive me.
And snakes.
40 or 50. Snakes, I dissected 3 or 4. I think one was a black mamba.
Wow.
My tetemeka because...
You knew it was dangerous.
Oh, it was dead, but...
because of the potential poison.
Where is the poison sac?
Yeah.
So you follow the fang, then you see, okay, here. Then you think maybe the poison can drip, maybe I don't know.
About if you touch its blood, it will...
The thing is just, it's got a vibe about it. Anyway, I skinned it, and I was much older then. But I did a lot of frogs dissection before I went to high school. In fact, when I was in high school, I did dissections for people. I was enjoying it.
Wow.
The frogs.
You weren't feeling, like...
For the frogs?
Squeezy or...
Not really. I was more excited, but I did feel some queasiness. What I didn't like is a cockroach, which funny enough, they brought in on exam a cockroach. That's the worst thing you can bring for me. I hate those creatures. Now they bring for you a cockroach lying upside down.
You're supposed to dissect it.
Yeah. So anyway, we're not allowed to draw, be creative. We got
so all through your youth, you're not anywhere near art.
No, certainly
in
primary now, that's Zavarian, called Zavarian primary. Now, no art whatsoever. A little bit here and there, but it's just like diagrams in the book and all that. Then I remember when I was in class 5, my father had a book. I think he went to Europe. He came back with a book about the French King Louis with all the gold, the ornaments, and they had something like a cover for some dishes, and it had Neptune, the god of the sea. It had all these drawings from classical European art, the Greek, and those gods, for some reason, which I like to know, the Greek gods are always naked. or Greeks generally. Okay, I don't know if that's how they walked
In their
around.
arts.
Yeah, in their arts they depicted naked, or they have some kashol flani inaenda ikienda ikianguka tu. So that's how all the people are drawn, the heroes and the heroines. And there was Neptune, and there was his goddess over there, and he had his trident, and he was, like this kakapose flani. So I thought it was nice, and I started sketching it, and I drew it, and that was one of my masterpiece drawings. I'd never drawn something like that, and I took it to school, as you would in our age, to show everybody. The time I went to school, there was a lot of doing stuff. We did a lot of things on our own. Used to make things,
I think that's when they were introducing now art and craft.
That came like later on. But on our own, we were very adventurous, and we used to read a lot. Like when we go to standard 4, you had to come on the second week with the library card, Kenyan National Library. And every week you borrow 2 books. You come to school showing you have borrowed 2 books. Plus the school library, I think every other 2 or 3 weeks, you borrow a book or 2. So you have 3 books apart from textbooks. So you have 3 books you read. We'd read them and exchange among ourselves. So we had a heavy reading culture. And we used to read because we used to be told, this is Kisumu. Nairobi, children are reading 7 books, 1 each day. You have brought 4. So we'd read your 3 books or your 4 books, and you'd borrow. So I'd read all the books my bro has borrowed. So there's already 4 plus mine 4. And then from other people. So we read a lot of books. This is from class 4.
Mm.
And we
so now these now are total reverse from what you do want to read in class.
I didn't want to read there because those people, they were telling me things I didn't understand. I didn't want to participate. You see?
But now you're seeing now,
of
with the
course,
storybooks now, it's opening up to the world.
I like learning. I like reading. I like learning. I'd learn, like I'm saying, when the teacher is asked me a question, I simply said, I'm not writing and I'm not reading. Because I'm still trying to make sense of, I'm going to be here for the next, 7, 8, 9, 10, 15 years. I'll be coming to our school every day.
But no kid thinks like that.
No, me, I'm thinking like that.
Yeah.
Mi nilizaliwa nifungiwe huko tena. So anyway, so we had a culture of people doing things and showing each other. People draw stuff, we make stuff. In class 5, 6, we were making rockets. And we were saying we want to make a rocket that will reach the moon. And we'd get into groups and we'd be experimenting with the matchboxes and, ile powder ya kiberiti, unaiba kiberiti, the powder unatengeneza to make an explosion. And we're going to the National Library to look for books about how a rocket works. There's no internet, no nothing. You see, we're actually trying to do engineering with virtually zero knowledge and skills. So here I bring my drawings. They're very popular. Of course, you take your book, it's given round, it's taken all round. And it's causing a wave. And then now, just after parade, you go to class, mi naitwa. And where's my book? Because I need it, because it's actually the back of another school book. I'm thinking, hey, I've drawn in a school book, so what am I going to do? And the book is not coming back. And I'm in class. First lesson, and the teacher comes and looks at me. Maina, yes. She's a class teacher. I think it was class 5 or 6. And I think she was called Mrs. Odor, English teacher. And she says, Mr. I think we used to call him, funny enough, Mr. Mark will come and talk to you.
Head teacher?
No. Head teacher was a lady. First, there was an Asian guy who was a real draconian guy. He sees you, he pinches you. He just punishes you. We grew up with just being punished for no reason. I think it was sadistic. I don't know. Mr. Patel. So, what's happening? At break time, I'm told you'll go see Mr. Mark in the staff room. My book ijarudi. The teachers come, the first lesson, she looks at me in a very weird way and I wonder what's going on. It's like she wants to tell me something. She calls me and said, is something wrong? I said, there's nothing wrong. What's happening at home? They know my mom, by the way, was making dresses. She was a dressmaker. So the teachers used to come and to the house and pimishwa nguo and all that. So they know my mom. Okay. Naenda pale kwa Mr. Mark. Kitabu yangu ndio hii. I'm very happy. Somebody else, my masterpiece has been recognized. Paka Mr. Mark ameniita. Yani, I'm thinking it's that. Yani, is it true? You've drawn this? And really that's me. When umechora hii? You've drawn this? Yes. Of course, when things get tricky, they go into Kiswahili. Ni wewe kweli? Hey, it's me. Hey, they start asking me very weird questions. How do I feel when I wake up? Am I getting an erection? I'm like, what is this guy asking me? No, all they're thinking is, because I've drawn a naked person, they're thinking, why have I drawn a naked woman, a naked man? What am I doing?
So
I'm
they're
an
thinking
adolescent has come.
adolescents.
And this adolescents in Anipeleka, I'm starting to draw pornographic pictures. Which, see, all the kids are excited, not because of my prowess at drawing a figure, because it's naked.
Oh, okay. Now I get it.
With just some thing here. Hey, nimehojiwa, hiyo taarifa imeshafika to my mom. And I was told, and it was confiscated, by the way, walirarua hiyo kitabu. And I was told, never draw anything like that again.
Wow.
In fact, they asked me, why have I drawn? So we used to all go home for lunch. I came back with a book. I said, I drew this picture from this book. It's your father's book? Yes. He gave it to you? Yes. Okay. So I was told, usiwahi chora tena. So I got that feeling. Actually, I got very stressed out.
Of course. Of course.
And I held back. Plus, we kept being told, drawing will take you nowhere. Don't draw. You have other things to do. So I was quite a good student, but I was told you should be number one. Okay, let me put it this way. I told you the school had Asian population, at least a quarter or a third. And I was the black hope. Because the Asians used to be...
Asians, yeah, they were very studious.
There's a girl, from class 1, there was a girl who was number 1. Up till class 8, she was number 1. And number 1, in that school, we didn't just used to do one exam. When you were in standard 4, standard 5, we used to do at least 3 terminal exams every term. There was a end term, there was a pre-end term, there was a pre-end term. 3 or 4. And we used to come during holidays to school. The only difference was you don't wear a uniform. And then class 7, class 8, we even used to come on Sundays. They were pushing us, because the school used to be number 2 in the Nyanza after Aga Khan, or number 3 after Memsha Aga Khan. So they wanted to beat Aga Khan. And that was our call, was we must beat Aga Khan. And the second thing was, in Nairobi, children are reading 10 books.
10 books, 7
in
books.
Nairobi, people are doing 10 pages of homework. You are doing 7. So we used to be given homework. I don't know how I can put it, but we were reading. Apart from all our own private reading, that school, the person who was number 50 or 48 in a class, or 47, he was number 1 in another school. In fact, that person would be chased away, that, you've become last. The parent would told, just remove from this school. And they'd go to the next school where they are number 1.
They're number 1. Wow.
To be number last in that school, you are a very good position in another school. Means tumewachana na 1 mark, 2 marks, 3 marks. By the time we're in class 8, number 1 position has, you're 2-3 marks behind each other, you see. So anyway, I used to be sometimes number 2, number 3, number 4. I was generally a top 5, top 6.
Then you're discouraged from pursuing art because...
They were saying that if you are like this and you don't read, you don't look like you sit down to really, you don't sweat this stuff. If you're like this, now if
you applied
yourself? But I was applying myself, but to them, they wanted applying was that, no, don't do art, don't do what. In fact, I was banned in class 8 from reading anything else. My father now was working for, his political career had changed. He was rigged out in 1978 when Moi came to power. Then he was given some token jobs. He was a chairman. That time he was a chairman of Kenya Airways. So he had all these airline publications. He put the mailing address to now Kisumu. So he knew I was interested. I don't know how. So we used to get these aeroplane publications, and I used to read them back to back. And the teachers used to know those kind of things. So we used to bring some of those things. And I remember we used to make things. We used to try to make paper aeroplanes. We used to try to make helicopters out of rubber bands. So we were always trying things. And we used to read so much that teachers would call us to ask us. There was a group of us, 4 or 5 of us. When they had a debate sometimes in the staff room, no, this is this. No, this country is bigger than this. They'd call you. Which country is bigger, Venezuela or Brazil? Of course, it's Brazil. Oh, okay.
So they'd call you guys?
Yeah.
Wow.
Remember, it's no internet. Those days, I'm sure you know this.
Yeah.
Unauliza ule mtu anajua. Ama unatafuta, ukisikia mtu ameshuka ndege ule nenda ametoka New York, you make sure you catch a few things from that guy. Because knowledge those days was very one-on-one. You learn something from somebody. You go to somebody, you borrow a book, and you know, so and so, akona kitabu ya iki. So and so,
all the kids used to know
where you'll get what from who. And whose father, go ask your father. It was always, I'll ask my father will tell me. That was the argument. Oh, this. I'll ask my father, he's went there. And the guy will come there. You see, my father told me this. These days, I don't see that kind of thing. It's, you Google this.
Everybody's on their phone.
You know? So knowledge is so somewhere else. I don't know. It's like there's a certain tangent. So they'd ask us, because we used to read and read. They see the books we bring, because you bring them, we read them in school.
Even your teachers don't have access to that kind of
unless
content.
they go to the, and then they also borrow from us. Oh, you borrow from the library, I'll give it back to you. And then we exchange books among ourselves. So the teachers know what we are doing, what we are reading.
So you have this trick in you now also to, gather others for knowledge, just like your dad, but also still the artistic. How do you bring out the art despite all those restrictions? How do you?
That time, I never did.
No, as in later. How does your
later
art
on?
emerge?
Now I decide. Okay, when I went to go to high school, which I didn't know anything about any school, I told them, can I do art? They said, yeah, you can do art. Or can I do something technical? And this was a technical school actually. So I wanted to do some.
Which school did you go to?
I went to Maseno.
Okay.
But now I wanted to go to a school where they either do fine arts or arts or designs or they do something technical.
So you still had that
building.
desire?
Yeah, now I had something technical. Now I thought maybe engineering because of reading the aeroplane things, aeronautical engineering or something. And then when we did when we were in class 8, we used to go to school throughout. We would come in at 7 o'clock. We'd leave at 6 or 7 in the evening. We'd come in and we used to do every day. Believe me, we used to do every day. We used to do a full exam, all subjects. Until it used to be called, because there are 13 weeks in a term, 13th pre-KCPE, 12th pre-KCPE. We used to do every week. Wow. Then it came to every day. In second term, every day.
You're being drilled now to pass the exam.
They used to bring papers. Every day you do a full paper. Every day you do a composition, nanisha. And my compositions, generally, the guy who didn't want to write used to be on top there. My compositions were always up there because of now storytelling. Every day you write a composition and an insha. And every day we do and we mark out, we just exchange. So we're just doing it so fast. Remember, it's multiple choice. So you just A, B, C, D, D, D. Then you exchange with your partners, you mark. Every single day in second term and third term. And we still come to school plus Saturday plus Sunday. Remember, we have to beat Aga Khan school. So anyway, we did beat them by a very big margin.
Your bro also?
Same.
You went to Maseno together?
Yeah, we went with them. We beat those guys. We were actually technically number 1 in Kenya. in the first 844. 844 came when we were in class 7. Wakasema, oh, imeletwa 844. So we added 1 year.
Oh, you are the first lot of
Yeah,
it
we were the
for
first lot. So we did some few things here and there, but not really everything. And then we went to, we actually beat, we won, technically we were number 1 in Kenya.
And this is a time now,
Yeah.
actually, when art is now coming in.
Yeah.
Like this, practical subjects,
Yes.
844, that's very...
And we did it. We even built a whole mud hut. Somebody showed us. They didn't even put their hand to it. We actually built it. When the invigilators came, they said, we paid somebody, and we wept tears. I said, but we built it. We actually did it by ourselves. We went and we made some pots. We did all that. We did some sewing and things. In 1 year, they tried to cram for us. The music, they sort of jumped because they said, you don't know, you can't catch the music.
There's not even music teacher or anything.
So we didn't do that. Then we now got into high school.
Almost a similar thing to where CBC is today.
Exactly.
You have
exactly
this curriculum that is supposed to be implemented, but there are no facilities, there are no resources, there are no teachers.
There's no, yeah. So when you go into Form 1, now we became number 1 in Nyanza. We are basically, the Muhimia's Academy beat us, but only because we only had 1 class. They had 3 streams. But when you look at it, we actually were top. Then you know what happens because of politics in the education, and then our headmistress by then was a lady from, I think she was from Embu, Mrs. Tado. She was married to a Luo guy who was working in the Ministry of Education. Imagine we are tops and they all send us to a day school, to Kisumu boys, just out of spite of her. But then, of course, we were told you can actually choose any school you wish because our marks ziko juu. Now, my father says, go to, I say, I want to go now. The schools you guys, you've been denying us the subjects. I'm going for those. Maybe Lenana or something. I think Lenana was my choice. And what was it? Starehe. He said that he wants me to go to Starehe. And then there was a technical school, and my bro wanted to go to a technical school. I thought also that would be good. What do they do? I'm asking them. I don't know about this.
But there was also, your bro also an artist at that time.
Yeah, he was. In fact, he was much better visual artist than me. He was always in some things I was leading him, but in the drawing, I had to, let's put it this way, he put more focus on it than me. And of me, they allowed him. Because they felt,
you are pushed towards books.
Yeah, they allowed him because they felt that he won't get the academic thing.
Who's the older twin between the two?
I am. That's another story which is very contentious. Yeah. Anyway, so we choose the schools. Then my mom says it is below our grade to go to a technical school. We have no idea there is anything wrong with going to a technical school, which I really wish you went to. So they say, you just go to this one, go for 2 years, and in Form 2, you can choose to go to a technical, which of course is an outright lie. So we go. And then my mom says, Lenana is too far. Go to a nearby school. So we were to pick the next nearest school with because there's a national school. Our marks can take us to any school in Kenya. So Maseno, which is not far. So I find myself in Maseno. There's no much. In fact, that time Maseno was on the down. We didn't really do much technical. I did industrial drawing.
But it had facilities, yeah?
It had, but we're not really using it. And when I came in, I couldn't do the mechanical or the electrical because they said that class is full. So they put me in technical drawing, which is just geometry. And then the school was around. I mean, the first year, the first term, the auctioneers came. We had to chase auctioneers from the class, kuchukua my desks.
Oh, they auctioning
They had debts. It was
a national
mismanaged.
school.
Yes. In fact, we were the first term, the second term, we were taking, for so many weeks, we were taking ugali with soup, imetengenezwa nyanya na binzari. First 2 weeks, 3 weeks. We didn't even have a uniform until when we were in, they got us now uniforms, I think we were in Form 3 or Form 4. The bus was a broken down truck. They got a bus, I think, by the time I left. The school was in shambles. Then they got somebody to come and run it, who ended up again siphoning an enormous amount of money from it. So when I went to Maseno, it was something else.
It was when Maseno had stopped being Maseno.
It was just so. I just find myself in this kind of circumstances. Anyway, so there we are. We go to Maseno. We've just moved to the Shamba, which is good. But then again, my mom and my dad, they are not on the best footing, because I think what my mom really wanted, he was not getting. She's
a present husband, basically.
Yeah, and she was a very driven person. And then also, it's unfortunate, but some things that happened with, I don't want to be disrespectful, but with some of my stepmothers, who have been very good to me. Then the times I've been with them, they're all passed on now. But the way they lived with my dad in the 60s and 70s influenced how he behaved towards my mom. So some mistakes they did.
Were taken out on.
One of them went abroad to study, and then she went akaanza kupotea, akasema amepotea. I don't know, I can't speak for her. So my mom was supposed to go do some further studies in catering. She wanted to do catering. Akaambiwa sasa kama ule ako na watoto sijui wangapi alienda na akarudi after 2 years. There's a time you couldn't even know where she was. Na huyu wenye ako na watoto wawili.
Young.
So my mom was told she can't go. She was supposed to go to. So they say so and so is behaving like this now. So my father used to take out on my mom. This I found out later on. So what happens is my mom starts having, they are not really, there's a lot of conflict, and their conflict is coming out. So as each of them is fighting each other through us, you see, each of them is fighting each other. And then of course my father being distant, we end up with my mom. So we take the brunt of whatever she would hit out at him. So she gets so worked up. She gets ill in 1984-85. She used to, alikuwa na cherehani na shona. She had like 6 machines in the sitting room in the county council apartment. Wanashonea watu nguo. That's how she was paying rent and everything and school fees. Then she got pregnant, the last born, and she had issues with her back. So she could not operate the machines, and they were on higher purchase. Zikabebwa. She was left with 1 or 2. Then now we moved to the Shamba. And now there is like you're starting afresh. So I don't think Ali shona tena. So whatever fights they had just came out. And then the guy was also frustrated. In fact, my father died a broken man, because he was rigged out in 1978 and he never ever got back to where he thought he should be. He started trying to do his businesses. He never had really had a business. He was doing a college. He never could run it properly. He was doing a correspondence college, meaning he was trying to, it was like a franchise for some, I think it was
he was trying to restart life too late in life.
But he couldn't. With those 30-something people and people on his case to go back to politics. He's already been put into the backyard politically, because now Moi was told that Twet wants to overthrow you as a kingpin in politics.
Of course, Moi could not allow someone, all those educated people, intellectuals.
Yes.
He was getting rid of them during that time.
And then my father was well liked by Kenyatta, and then he had never taken part in corruption. The ones where people would be given large tracts of land. There's areas in Jora I go, I'm told, hii ingekuwa yako, hii ni ya baba yako alikataa. Large parts of, it used to be forest nights, settled areas. So he's well known for not taking political gifts.
Your parents are having conflict in high school.
Yeah.
Of course, your brother is more artistic than you are.
Yeah.
So how does that go? So, how does that proceed?
So anyway, going to high school, we're also going to this 844 system. We go first year again. Remember, I'm telling you, the school is in problems. Teachers refused to teach us. They said, quote them, Moi atawafunza. 1 year, you're not being told. Part of some teachers came, some of the things like chemistry was the same curriculum. There was no curriculum. So the first year, they went to write the curriculum. The second year, they went to write the books. So in Form 3, they came with a curriculum and some books. So as to list skuma tu hivi. There are some subjects like in Form 1, CRE, we didn't do history, we didn't do one term. And they just cooked on the form. And they said, we didn't do history. They just cooked. We were being taught a lot of subjects by the trainee teachers. Then Form 3, Form 4, they tried to put some effort. But generally, tukaambiwa, hii msonge tu, msonge mukienda. When you did mocks, I remember when in Form 3, Form 4, there even students who were ill, they were not present. When the result came from the zone, they had their names and their results.
Someone had cooked up results.
Yeah, they just cooked up, because what are you going to do with this group of people? Then in Form 3, Form 4, they came the drive for multipartyism and
so the agitation of early 90s.
And then they started the riots in schools. I mean, the government guys used to come to school and tell us, can you strike? Can you march to my office? DOs is sending...
That's the
yeah, DO is saying, can you come to my office? March tomorrow. Because if Maseno strikes, then every school will strike. But then we didn't strike. We have our own issues. And then we are not... Maseno is a national school.
Why is the DO asking you to strike?
It was part of that time when Matiba and all this and Jonjo were doing all this agitation for multipartyism.
Because Nyanza being the hotbed
so
of opposition
it was
politics.
the breaking down the government institutions, making parastatals not function. So taking KCC, they'd go and buy milk from farmers in Amwago kwa mto. KCC inakufa because it doesn't have milk because outside forces are pushing. So part of it was strike, you see. We never striked, you see.
So you finish
So
high
I
school.
come out of school, I never even, in fact, school now, I rocked the boat.
Did you go to uni?
I didn't go to uni. I didn't even write in those papers because I knew I'd be sent to a course like teaching, which I did not want to do. And then we were doing with Form 6s. So nimepiga hesabu. We are here with Form 6s. How are you going to go to university? We'll be given the lesser courses. Form 6s will be given the premium courses. Me, I want maybe engineering, maybe architecture, which I can't even do because then also I'd really given up in a lot of things. I didn't
because of the conflict at home
and many other issues. Remember, I'm that guy who is waiting to learn about the world.
And you're not learning.
Now we're just being put in one funny classroom with issues after issues after issues after issues. When are we coming on? Now already I've been told, utaenda utafanya maliza tu utafanya ni kama nachezewa tu akili. Then here we are, we're not being taught much. Me, I just said, now what is this? So I never filled those forms. Then in the school, we had a lot of problems. I was always throwing stones because the school was being run by the prefects. And the headmaster who came in at that time is passed on now. They say rest in peace.
The one who came up to...
Mr. Amadia. But he became a terror. And then the school was run by the prefects. And it was modeled on the government of the day. The school captain would stand up and he would declare, I have banned that class. You are banned. You don't exist.
And then what do you do? What happens to you?
You just lie low like an envelope. Remember, they're just playing. So they'd come and they'd take you from your dormitory and
that was the structure of the national school and provincial schools. Yeah,
beat you up. They beat you up, and just leave you lying there outside your dorm. The school was an exact copy of the repression that was going on because of, remember, the government, the coup happened in 1882. So as soon as people started trying to show dissidents, the government of the day was jittery and was using excessive force, you see.
And of course, most of the opposition was in Nyanza and central Kenya.
When you moved to Nyanza, I remember when you were in class 3 or 4, occasionally people would be burning pictures of the president. They'd be burning on the street, not putting pictures on the
wall.
So when Moi came, he really got them to come back into the fold. It really helped Nyanza, by the way, until after 82 happened. Then he his heart changed because that
So-
guy
so-
really helped them.
So what happens after you don't go to college?
I don't
you
go to college.
What do you do? What happens?
I stay home. I also didn't get my certificate. I never went back for it. I never even got a living certificate. I was actually expelled. Not expelled, I was suspended with the 1 week to go. So I never
To
went
the
back.
exams?
No, we finished
After
exams.
exams.
So people agitated because the headmaster was stealing funds and everything. And during the leavers party, they read a speech. These guys were reading a speech. Tomorrow they were going. I was doing technical education, so I still had 2 weeks more. So when the next day the Form 4s and Form 6s are leaving, the only few Form 4s left, me being one of them, the headmaster came down on us and were really hard on us.
So you came to do the exam from home?
One paper.
One paper.
So they came and forced us to take our bags to go, and we refused. They had to come and take our bags by force, and the whole school was following us around. I said, why? Until one old guy who was, he even called the police. One old guy came, he was a school messenger, and we stood there outside the staff room, me, my bro, and 2 other guys. In fact, one guy is the brother of Rotich, who's I think an MP, who's in politics in Nandi somewhere. So 3 of us, and why are you throwing us out? The people who did these things, who wrote the speech, it's not us. They've left now because we are the ones visible.
So
He
it's
just
taken
took
out
it out
on you
on
guys.
us, and then they locked our bags in the staff room. We just had a uniform, and he called the police, and we said we are going there, let them come, and the whole school was in uproar because no one had stood up to this guy. He had been terrorizing everybody. And then this old guy came and he said, please just go, because this guy, Mumemweza, is becoming violent. He's called the police, anything can happen. And just on the respect of that old man, the messenger, he said, everybody knows you're in the right. That guy was that much of a terror. Everybody knows he's doing wrong, but no teacher would stand up and say, look, why are you throwing these guys out? They've done nothing. So we left, went to Kisumu.
So here you are.
After high school.
So you've done whatever, and you've done high school. It's been, it's been nothing to write home about.
Yes.
Just the usual troubles.
Some home, yeah.
So now, how does
so
this
what
come
happens
around?
is, so now I'm home.
1990,
finished in 89. I say, now finally, let's do the art. Let's take up from there. I go to speak to my parents, and we're staying now, it's about 45 kilometers from Kisumu. And they say, sir, we'll support you. So we want to go to British Council Library, join up, and again, you have to learn from a book. So you go there and join up and start studying about drawings and stuff like that, and painting, just trying to now see what to do out of this, and other businesses. And so started doing some other businesses now in there, up country, on the farm. Apart from farming, which we were working on the farm, a cousin of mine wanted to do a pub. So he's a teacher. So he fronted the money, took a loan. He's a teacher and he was in Eldoret. So we started running a pub. We had started actually.
You just left high school?
Okay, we didn't start running a pub. We used to go to the river we were doing horticulture, and used to go and get water from a river. From either a river or from a well, depending on the level. So when it was, the well had good water, we'd go get from the well on a pickup, put them in drums and jerry cans. So when we would go there, there's a well.
That's now as a business now.
Yeah, we're doing that farming at home, on the farm, you're working at home. Because my mom, our farm was very innovative. We're doing, I think today they call it organic farming. We were planting mboga. This is a sugar belt. Mbogas, we had chickens, we had goats za kukamua, we had ng'ombe za maziwa. People didn't have that kind of, it's a castle ranching area. People are not putting good quality ng'ombe. So even we are planting groundnuts, pawpaw trees. People are coming who have never seen a pawpaw tree. Hii tunaona kwa soko inamea hivi, you know. So groundnuts, inakuanga hivi, you know. So, I mean, on that farm, you wake up early, you go to bed, you just close your eye, because you're working day and night. You see, so we were doing the horticulture by going to get water from the river, the pickup. So as we were doing that, my cousin used to sort of, when he was with us during holidays, he'd buy a crate or two of beer, and as we were getting water from the well, there's a tree over there alikuwa anauzia watu. Naacha hiyo crate mbili pale, we go 3 or 4 trips, we get our empties. Watu wakasema si mfungue hapa kitu tutakuwa tunakunywa. So we spoke to my dad. He said, yeah, there's some land he had over there. You can set up something. So my cousin said, me, I'm a teacher, so he'll set up a little structure and you guys can run it. So fine. So we started going into that. This is our second year. Plus I had my own idea of doing something to do with music, production and all that. And maybe selling music. Those days people used to have what you call tapes, pirate tapes.
Yeah,
so you'd
go
dubbing tapes. So I thought I'll get some machine, I get some originals, I go set up. Mine was going to be mobile, which was innovative even in that time. I thought I'd get a motorbike, I go around with a battery and this thing to the different market centers, leo soko iko hapo, kesho iko pale. I just do my dubbing there and get my money. And probably open a music shop in the nearby town of Moroni, about 12 kilometers away. So nimeshaandikia mabarua. Those are the days of writing letters to Polygram, to who, tell me your stock, I need to buy how much, your retail price is this much, pay this much, we send you stock. I've gone to look for licenses, I've gone to, and all those unachapa mgoma unaandika barua unangoja majibu. So I'm thinking of that line as I help my cousin in his pub business. We even reach a point, tulijenga hata Makuti by 1994-95. But because of some other issues with my dad, some things with him.
So where is art coming in?
Art is coming in at a point where I'm thinking, as I'm learning art, as I'm doing this, I'm going to teach myself some. I like design and graphic design, and I want to go into production, video and music. I'll need to know about cover design and
Xhuuma,
photography. Tuko tu na yeye. He also has the same kind of idea. Xhuuma likes to do painting. So the painting now, he wants to learn and practice. So we want to buy the materials, and then he also Xhuuma, but they also.
But you're in the village. How do you?
You go to Kisumu town. You get the books from the library. You come back and you read the books and you try.
You buy the papers.
You buy the paper there.
The pastels.
My father was staying in Nakuru, so he said very cleverly, now my sons, they are big, I cannot stay in the same homestead with them. So he's saying he's not coming anymore there. So it's a clever way of ducking my mom and ducking us also from hard questions. So now is when I'm beginning to see more of him, especially when you're on the farm growing up, when you're Form 3, Form 4. Form 4, he left. He was not staying with us. So unless you go to Nakuru. So he sends materials. He does send materials. You write a letter to him.
He is just, is it drawing, painting?
Drawing and painting and graphic designing, which I'm trying to just to learn it by doing it.
At what point does that become now like
commercial?
The line that you pursue now in life, like what you're doing
today? It becomes when I get exiled to Nairobi. So I do something, I outplay my father. So there was a lot of funny games, family intrigues going on. And my father, I think because now he's not really in politics, a lot of his intrigues and political playing, he was bringing, the way he was running up. I remember I told you I don't want to talk about my father. Partly it's because the way he brought us up was it was chaotic. And at some point it was virtually sadistic. Because like, for example, when we moved there in 1985, 86, we have gone to Form 1. He's made chairman of Kenya Seed Company. He's given a car. I remember he was told, pick a car. He picked a car. You're the chairman, you need to pick this kind of car, a 4x4. So he picked a used trooper. It was yellow in color. Ameenda ametoa viti. Imebaki kiti ya driver na moja kiti ya passenger ameweka nyuma, then uko ameweka gunia za mchanga. So you take a gunia, where the seat was, you put a gunia. So now he's written so that he only carries himself. Ukimwomba lift asema sasa utakaa wapi? Si ukiketi kwa hiyo gunia utasema acha nishuke hapo, hata nilikuwa na shughuli pale. So that's how he was. And there on the car is written, nobody, attention to all policemen. This car can only carry the driver and myself. It cannot carry any of my wives or any of my children. And he signed it. And it's written there. So kisimamishwa na police, anaona pale insurance, anaona kabarua imeandikwa on the windscreen. Alafu it's empowering the policeman to ask the passengers, are you either a wife or a child? If you're a wife or a child, shuka kwa hii gari. So his car cannot carry his wife or his children. So if sometimes when you're going to school, my mom says, take these guys to school, is a special request.
No wonder people thought of him as eccentric.
Yeah, well, that is eccentric. Now, I don't know why he used to do that. All his cars, akutaki hivyo. Maybe he wants his own space given. Nothing wrong with that. We have no problem. I've never wanted anything of his, but to the extent of removing your seat so that hata uwezi kumwomba lift. But then he passed away in a car crash, so maybe he knew that he doesn't want to travel anywhere with his family. Maybe he knew, who knows? You see. So that and many other kind of things. One day he'd wake up and he'd write all the books I say are his. We grew up with about 2,000, 3,000 books in Kisumu, that small flat. So he'd write his name on all the books. In fact, now when you have gone to the farm, he wrote even our school books. Alichukua vitabu zote akaandika jina yake na maka. Mpaka saying, but this is my book. He said, all books belong to me. So now you want to go to school and the book imeandikwa Towet. And so ameandika inside, ameandika on the,
the cover.
On the, the spine.
In the spine.
And the opposite where the pages are. So hata ukiweka hivi nasomeka hivi. Ukiweka hivi nasomeka hivi. Na kitabu ni sio yake. So he just wake up and hear some weird kind of thing. So he ended up saying, in fact, I'll not take you to college because I don't know which brothers were taken to college. They became criminals. Now, mi sitawapeleka.
So you're on your own?
You're on your own. What will you do? Tell me a business you want to do, I'll give you my blessing. Hata ukitaka, I remember saying, utaka kuchoma mahindi hapo, sema, sasa nitachoma mahindi hata sijui kuchoma mahindi. Okay, sawa. Okay, I want to do this and this.
So you're here now. What I'm hearing is a story of making lemonade with the lemons.
Yeah, so I find myself in 1991 in Nairobi. We have some wrangles, intrigues. So
you Kosana there and you exiled.
What he did, because then I told him, okay, if I'm to go to college, I like to go to college to do computer engineering, because I thought this is something that's coming up. Then I can go into graphics and all that of computer designing and video graphics. It was a technical course. And I remember him saying, kwanza hiyo ni nini? And my mom. And he said, kwanza hiyo ni diploma at Polytechnic. Now he says, pesa yangu sio ya diploma. After a degree. Say, but I cannot get a degree course. Sinianze na hii. Hiyo ikaishia hapo. So I would have gone into computer engineering and then something else also. So he ends up interfering in the business we are doing. Him and his wrangles with my mom, they mess up in the business. And then to save face, he pays for 3-month course at a college in Nairobi, a design school. It used to be called, it was a very famous design school.
Where
art school. For me, he said portrait, and for my bro, design or graphic design. A 3-month course. And we are in the business, we are trying to do the business with my cousin. So he said, if I leave for 3 months, this thing will collapse. But to say first, I think to his friends, to say, I really sent them to college. And also to outmaneuver me. Because he was playing tricks. Because he wanted it, he knew I'll refuse for whichever reason. He says, you see, niliwapeleka akakata, usiseme sikujaribu. So XL mi nimeshikwa hivi, and that day his car was available with all the seats inside. Nimesukumwa huko na bag imewekwa.
Alikuwa anatua viti alafu anarudisha.
Siku hiyo moja ilikuwa na viti.
To bring you to Nairobi.
Hiyo nimeletwa kilazima, taken to Donholm. He's paid some old lady there for us to stay for 3 months.
You were at BIFA?
Not BIFA. It was a school. It was in CBD. It was an Indian school. And the Indian guy he was a guy called Kenyan. He was actually an old friend of his from the 1950s. He was like doing his friend a favor. So there you are, smack in the middle of Nairobi. Umewacha biashara zako, umewacha mashamba, umewacha mboga, nini. Here you are in Donholm. Stay here for 3 months, go to that school, then come back. Then I told them, I'm not going to come back because I've seen the tricks you play. I had the hindsight of observing how he's been handling my older brothers and sisters. So I was now seeing the way he escapes or evades some issues and the way he handles people.
You're telling me you're now becoming your own person.
Yeah, because I'm now 21 actually. So, but I'm still very upset. So here I'm landed there with strangers, anza kwenda. My bro started going. I said, well, you become a traitor. Where unaenda? Aya, mi siendi. Out of principle, you are not supposed to go. No, wacha niende. So anyway, he's him, I am me. Yeah, kaenda. Me, I was so disturbed, I didn't go. I did not go at all. I was I went for 1 day, for 2 days, I just stayed. It became a big crisis where we were staying. Those people asking, sasa huyu kijana ameletwa hapa. Hatumjui hata. What's happening here? We are strangers to each other. This was a widow.
So all this resistance.
Yeah.
How does Usanii Mashariki
inakuja sasa hapo, si nimekataa kwenda. By the way, 3 months then I also was thrown in police custody and all that. Nikatoka.
Ulifanya nini ndio upelekwe polisi?
The people were staying with stole some money from their visitors, who were church visitors, who were leaving, and then they said ni wale vijana. So cops came, arrested me. So 3 months in Nairobi, mi nishalekwa jela for stealing 3,000 pounds, which is so much money. And then I remember the policewoman threw me out after 5 days in jail, in remand, in the police station. Those guys who were from England, they had already flown out, so no case. He said, we utapigwa risasi ama utagongwa na gari. I'm still waiting. So, and that time unaambiwa uko chini ya meza. So anyway, we come out. I come to Karen. There's a problem again at home because
Karen ni wapi? Kwa nani?
My mom had come because 3 months we were supposed to now have left. Me, I said, mimi sirudi huko. Mi nitabaki Nairobi, nijitafutie maisha ingine. Hii ya art, nitajua tu. Look for me a place I stay another 3 or 4 or 5 months. So they talked to a friend of theirs in Karen, Windy Ridge. So the day I was supposed to go on Saturday, move from Donholm to there, Friday night I was arrested. And then Wednesday or Thursday I was released. My mom came actually on the Saturday. Wapi kijana yangu? They never told her. They said tumemtuma town. Wakangoja. Wapi kijana yangu? They never told her. She took my bro Xhuuma and went back to Shags. Then when I called them on the Wednesday, they said, we have gone to look for you. We have gone to police stations. Sijui tulikuwa tunaanza kutafuta sijui wapi. Said I was locked up. So aurudi, sinisema sirudi. So mliniweka kilazima, mi sirudi. So what are you going to do? Find me a place to stay. The place I went to, Windy Ridge. Ndio hiyo mimi nimetoka na tembea mguu in Nairobi town. Start your life now. Luckily, there was another lady who was hoping to be a stepmother. She was a contender to the crown. My father also had concubines. We'd go to his place, he'd say, you are under training. You see. So one was hoping. So she thought she'd get mileage by being good too. You know, I was a black sheep. So I'm not telling her, I'm a prodigal son. oh, Maina, you're here. I've always wanted to meet you guys. So she was staying I won't mention, but anyway, she went and claimed she was my mom, and she was our real mother, and our mother now had stolen us from her. So she was taking care of us. That's what she was telling people out there, asking, who are these boys in your house? Me, do I care? Me, I'm getting food to eat. You know, you're now living on 1 meal a day.
That's the one you're living with now in Karen.
No, that's someone else. This
Ah.
is someone else. I'm visiting somewhere else. So she introduced me to some teacher, a school teacher, who was also doing graphic design and screen printing. He was a teacher in Makini School. And then I went and this guy is now remember what I said. You learn by reading a book or by apprenticing with somebody or by seeing somebody. Unaenda pale watu wanafanya kitu. I think young guys today, I can't fathom that. But they do it. They go on YouTube. Si wanaendanga YouTube wanaangalia mtu anafanya kitu. Oh, I saw on YouTube. As you'd go and peep at a carpenter. Amekata hivi, amekata hivi, amekata. Of course, now you don't have the luxury of asking him. Sometimes you could ask, they would explain. But if you couldn't, you just peep and fill in the blanks. So I was looking for people that I could get to. I learned graphic designing and screen printing and stuff, and I go do my music stuff. I had a big idea to have, remember I was talking about dubbing cassettes and stuff, to have a mobile truck that has a stage and lights, like these ones here, and then I go around and people hire me to do gigs. Mobile. I see homeboys started doing that, and I was thinking, this is the thing I had to do 25, 30 years. So now my plan is to fill in the blanks. I learn graphic designing, learn production, learn sound engineering, learn this, at least learn it to start it, to employ people. So now here I am, hook up with this teacher. He says, come, I teach you. What do you want to learn? What do you know? Graphic designing, screen printing. Oh, on t-shirts. Oh, that's good. So me, I go, I start working with him. Na ninakaa huko Karen, nikakaa kidogo. It was just a short time. I stayed in Gando. Gando, I went looking for a house. Nikaulizia, nikaonyeshwa. It was a bar. Unatafuta nyumba? Peleka kwa bar. Kauliza kwa bar. Nikaonyeshwa room. Oh, hapa, okay. For how much per month? They calculate, they told me, okay. So I started saying in a lodging. They rented to me a lodging like a house. So nikakaa hapo, me and my bro. Sawa, it was sawa papa.
Oh, so he comes and joins you now?
Yeah, my bro was with me. No, when now my mom took him, he came and joined me some point in Karen. My mom was always trying to shield him a bit because they felt sometimes I'm a little bit too hardcore. My mom now is worried. You're going a trip by yourself because she knows I don't want to be in Nairobi. But I've said, me niko hapa. You guys, you're just taking us around in circles. And already I'm mentally very distressed. There was also an incident where before I left at Donholm, my father came and then tukaongea, we had some wrangle. Because he came, why are you not going to college? Why he said, this is a setup and you know it. So he said, let's go talk in the bedroom. So when you go to talk in the bedroom, he called a meeting with my hosts, and then he said, let's go talk in the bedroom. In the bedroom, we talked. I told him, now what joke is this? Then the guy tells me, again, he played me. He told me, I don't know what you're saying. Write down on this piece of paper. First, you're saying you are running a business where I said here. Where is there this place? Where? Kericho? How many kilometers from there here? I've never been to such a place. Who stays there? Says, see my mom. Who's your mom? So and so. It makes me write on a piece of paper. What's your mother's name? Say, what do you mean what's my mother's name? So I write, your story, Sijui. I don't know what you're talking about. I've never been there.
Then what are you guys doing in the same room?
So he says, so I asked him that. So he says, even I've disowned you. He said, you even disowned me last year. Remember we were angry. Kwani ulinirudishanga? So then I told him, no, you said you don't know this. I got wise. Let me call your driver. He told me he's never stepped there. in our home. So I said, I'm going to call the driver. But I was so worked up. You know what? I'm going to call the driver. Nitamuuliza, umemtoa mzee wapi? Ama umewahi mpeleka hapa? So I was so worked up, he got up and left. So by the time after 10 minutes, I went now to the sitting room. He had left. The old lady was there and her sister. And then they started taking me very strangely and had this piece of paper. Si ndio nataka kuuliza driver, huyu mzee amesema hivi. Kwa ameenda. So I stayed for about a month. That was like, I was there for 3 months. That's like my second month. They took me in a very weird way. This has a bearing maisha ya msanii. Eh? Walinichukua in a very funny way. I could do no wrong. Na nakaa tu home, umekula nini. Make sure I've got
food. You're wondering what kind of father is this?
No, I don't know. They've taken me there. Then my mom came. They took me where? They took us around. And then she even took us out. There used to be a restaurant called Wimpy. I think it was called Wimpy Burger. I never eaten such a thing. Then she says, Sasa, tunaenda, we are actually on my father's car is given her, and the driver. We are along, I think it was Muthurwa. She said, Sasa, tunaenda kwa daktari. Said, daktari gani? Now, Maina, you need to go to see a psychologist. This is the whole day. This is now like mid-afternoon. Then it clicked. Said, Simzee alisema hivi na hivi. Umerukwa kichwa. Then it clicked.
What?
I got out of that car and I walked to Donholm. The piece of paper he'd asked me to write when he left the room. Now, this is now, I show you a side of my father. There are those who know, there are those who today they'll know. He went and told these people, because he knew I have outmaneuvered him. He told them, amerukwa akili. Hata anaandika hapo, sijui mama yake, sijui kwao, sijui kilomita ngapi, ameandika kwa karatasi. Na anasema ati mimi sijui kwao. Hata akikuja atawaambia, I have refused that I don't know the mother. Me, how can I not know his mother? So take this money, feed him, and then can you look for a psychologist? You take him. I'll send the mother in some weeks to come. But So when he left, when I left the room with the paper, they looked at me. Then they asked me, what's on the paper? Ati mzee ananiuliza, niambie niandike hapa, ati where is my mother's name, our home, everything here. I write here. So, they nod, it's true. It's true.
Ameruka
kichwa. Then they brought my mom. That's how my father used to operate. Remember, I told you he's a strategist for Kadu in 1960s. He's the strategist. He gives them strategy. And the Kanu strategist. Now he's going to know.
He's now
idol.
His strategy.
He's not idol. He's now playing it on us.
Kids.
You see? So that's now why my mom is coming to take me to a psychiatrist. Then it clicked when I left. Then I met him. I called him up and I called him. Just do reverse call those days on his landline. He says, Maina, how did you see that one? Say, okay, you've done me. Okay. I agree. Okay, that one was a good one. I agree. Then he compare marks. So that's how my father was. Nobody today can do anything to me my father hasn't done once. Hata kuita police. Ameniitia, wacha police. Special branch. Wamekuja mpaka shags wanajificha wakiniangalia. He just do... Okay, he's idol. So I understood. Anyway.
I think I'm also hearing a narcissist. He's idol and he's a narcissist. Everything is about him.
If you want to become a politician, what else? So anyway, that's how it happened. So that's how the kind of thing I had to grow up with. So anyway, I come out of that. I meet this guy. He was called Mr. Abdallah. He was a school teacher. He passed on away. I started learning, working with him. Sasa ninachapa mguu from Gando to Makini School, where he is. Ananipea assignment, go to the house, do this, or wait for me, I'll come. I walk all the way from Makini School. Tupite to route is something called Kibera Highway. Toke Yaya Center, somehow toke uko. Just a little bit beyond the Kileleshwa police. He was staying in Kileleshwa. His wife was, she was a doctor in the government civil service. So she was there. Sasa, hapo ndio nikaanza kujifunza graphic design practical. Alafu naenda town, ananituma enda town, we're doing commercial printing of cards, these letterheads, this kind of stuff, logo designs, and then screen printing, especially on school t-shirts. Tami nafunzwa, mi ndio
ndio mtu wa
boy
mkono.
fundi sasa, fanya hii, fanya hiyo. So you just do it. And I walk back and forth.
So you're like an apprentice now.
Yes. So all these guys you see walking Kibera siji to wherever to Inda, mi nimechapa hizo njia. So when you don't have work, I walk there. He says, leo sina kitu ama ni mkose. I walk to Uhuru Park. Nakaa Uhuru Park. I just sit there, lala, I sit this bench, I sit that bench. Sometimes I go to some couple of galleries, I try to go to those Indians curio shops. Those days they used to chase people. Wanaona huyu mtu hivi anakuja kuiba idea anakaa msanii. I've been chased from so many Indian shops, I can tell you. Biashara Street.
Usiibe ideas.
I don't know why. Sometimes, you see me, I'm curious. I like learning things. Nauliza, nini? This kind of stools. These are what? This from West Africa. And these are what? These are things you see in a book. Now you're seeing here, West African mask. There's no internet, there's no TV, wapi, unaona hizo vitu. So, umeuliza maswali 5.
Wanafikiria sasa unataka kukopi.
There's that guy there who is, because that's what they do. Kuna huyo jamaa na kufuata, unafukuzwa. You come the second day, mlango inafungwa, naambia toka enda. You imagine you're inside Nairobi. Mimi nimefukuza maduka mengi sana, nimefukuzwa. You go some shops, they sell t-shirts. You go looking at designs. What's there? What is there on the market, so that even you want to start doing that. Wanaona huyu macho yake ni kali sana. Mbona anaangalia hivi? He's not a buyer. You see? You're chased. That's the life of an artist.
So you start making t-shirts.
You start doing graphic designing, especially doing for schools and stuff. But logos. Occasionally, I'd go home, maybe for 2-3 weeks, even 2-3
home
months.
In Kericho.
Kericho, my mom would call, come help me build this cow shed, come help me do this, come help me do that. She's still trying to find how to handle me or not. Ndio ninaenda huko. I also work on the farm, I come back. Then we revive some of the projects, the stalled projects. That's how we ended up building now again a Makuti, which again interference came in, again I walked away from it. And then got a loan, got some savings, some monies.
I want to focus on your art.
Yeah, now my bro started doing a lot of painting. You see, me, I started working with some people who are doing music. They produce
so
music.
Now you've gone now to.
Remember, I was only doing visual art as a part of my bigger vision of music and video, documentary production or movies, and writing scripts and stuff. I was the guy who was writing compositions inakuwa number 1. Sasa ndio mimi hapo, met some old school friend. He says he wants to produce music in his studio. He's saying he wants to form a studio in his they have a home in Gumo. He's starting he's staying in the extension. So he's calling people to come for auditioning. And people used to come and they have the demo tapes. Watu wanaimba capella kama.
You had the equipment.
You didn't have. We don't have. We don't have equipment. Yeah. We are just
people
guys
recording
with
with
ideas.
Just a tape recorder.
Yes, nothing. We have the thing that will play people's music. We've written there. In fact, I made for him it was a mic like this. It was called Steady Discs. I always enjoy him. It was not so steady. Where is it now? It was a mic like this, and I made him the logo, and he made some screens, started printing some t-shirts for some few people. So he got a group of guys from Buruburu, and they were doing rap. Now we were writing the music, we were writing the songs, it was rap. And we were writing, we were doing the beats. Now we don't know how to write music, but we just have our own crude method.
Yeah.
And then, when me ni mjuaji, me have been made, you are the technical guy. You find out everything about recording, about everything that's there to know. Me, I'll just write the music, him. We even got, we managed to go to some studios. We got some not free, they gave us studio time on credit. to record those guys. And we got those guys to come. It was a studio called Philco. It was in Harambee. And I remember when we got those guys to come, I know that guy will not like me saying this, but we actually walked. We didn't have fare. We walked from Gumo to Harambee.
But that's I don't know. That's I don't know people stories I know.
Yeah.
It's
It's
people
like
who
that.
have made it. They walked. People
We
walked from
walked
Dhero to town.
Kafika huko tuko na
whatever,
mdomo
Ngong to
tamu.
town.
Yeah. We've been given, walking was okay to me.
You know the our generation
Yeah.
did something called tamaking,
Tamaking.
which is basically coming to Nairobi with no
And
money
you walk.
and looking for jobs, and you
Yeah.
look for jobs for 2-3 years.
Yeah.
Just walking.
Yes. I bought a map. When I came now, I was in Donholm for 3 months. I bought a map, tourist map of Nairobi. And I'd go. Wabera Street. Oh, Wabera Street. Oh, I'd go, like with a map. So when you're doing the graphic designing, you print cards. Someone tells you, bring to Imenti House, bring to Pioneer Building, bring to this, bring to I don't know where. Well, you have to know places. Hakuna which map, I don't know, pin, I don't know what.
Me, I was lucky I went to UON, University of Nairobi, so I got to I mean,
walk
town,
around.
we just
You
walk out
have
of
to
university
walk
to
around,
town.
yeah.
You had to
Me, I
walk
learned
around,
Nairobi with a map and consciously going and learning this street goes here, this building, this, and I consciously look at them. That was fun to me. So anyway, I go to Shags, I do some stuff. Nikatoka, and I stayed in Sawa Sawa pub. There was a time I couldn't pay the rent. Nikatoka, nikaenda kaa kwa kijiji.
How much was the rent?
I can't remember. Maybe 350 bob or something like that, or 400 shillings, or 600 bob maybe. Because pale nikaenda, I think
Per
it was,
month?
Yeah, maybe it was 400. I'm talking about 1991 or 92. Then I went to a kijiji. Hiyo nilikuwa nyumba, hata si niko tu na mates, vitu zangu zimefungiwa huko. And even in that
Zimefungiwa wapi kwa hiyo pub?
Yeah, huko kwa lodging sijaweza kulipa. The landlord is a very decent guy. I met him some years later. He told me, sikujia vitu zako. I never went for them. I wish I did, because there's some letters my father wrote that were in a briefcase I left over there. By the way, when I was there, I'm still learning. I told you I'm still walking to that gate to Makini School. People used to ask me what I am. I'm in Msanii. But I can't really tell them what do I do. What Msanii wanajua ni nani. So you have to survive in ways, I don't know. People used to, and it's a very hard, you ask me, it's a hard neighborhood. When you tukipanda basi, ukikaa nyuma, because I'd walk to Makini, to there, then Kilelesho, it'd give me bus fare. I'd walk to Yaya Center, nipandie Yaya Center. And then to save me like 50 cents, because they had to be 4 bob, instead of 4 bob 50 cents from Tao. Ukipanda pale, uko nyuma watu wagando wamekaa. Ukiketi huko, conductor hakuji, because he'll be pickpocketed. Tukishuka wote.
That time when 11 was known.
Yeah.
Ya gari ya Ngong, it was known for pickpockets.
Kwanza
watu wagado.
Wakishuka wote, pale chini, there used to be another conductor na police. Nye mkishuka, toa tikiti. Me, niwi nashuka, I was never stopped. Police wananiangalia, naenda. So, naitwa, huyu ni Msanii, naenda. But they used to think I forge signatures. Yeah, bank. Kuiba pesa. Because they used to come
Well,
to
they
me.
think that.
Yeah. Mi najifanya mi ni msanii, nakaa msafi, naishi pale, I don't talk to anybody. When I wake up, I walk, I go. I go, nakaa huru paka, I come in the evening. They don't see me going around talking to people. They have no visible means of
income. Kwa pub, are you drinking that time?
I don't drink, I've never drunk.
So you're living above a pub?
Yeah, they don't. So in fact, I'm so broke on Sundays if I don't go. Nikienda huko pale naenda apprenticeship huko, ukipata huko chakula unakula. My sister used to stay, a stepsister used to stay in Dagoretti Corner. I'd go pass by there, take a decent shower, and then I come. Sometimes in Enda, I take a decent shower, wash up at the Air Center, loos and toilets. I come clean. So these people think I'm a forger. It was once they used to bring for me things to forge, and I used to refuse. And then once I was so broke, I went to the roof of it was a Sunday. I have no money, I have no nothing. There's a kiosk huko chini, naenda huko na chapa. You have to know how to talk. Unachapa story pale, hiyo jamaa anakupea mandazi. You time when they are cooking mandazis. Hiyo story unawachia, wacha niende. Hapana, hebu kula hii, alafu. That's how you get 2 or 3 mandazi. So I'm up on the roof, naletewa barua. The criminal kingpin in Gando used to stay in the forest in Gando, in race course, the place for the horses. Imeandikiwa barua summoning me to appear before him. He wants to coerce me to join his gang or something. The guy who brought for me was a guy who used to work in a hotel. Alikuwa Mswahili, but I was a bit crookish. But I used to go get some food from him sometimes. So he's brought that.
And by hotel, of course, you mean restaurant. But in Kenya, we call them hotels.
Kibanda, actually.
Yeah, kibanda.
Kibanda, not a hotel, sorry, a restaurant. Kibanda, actually. Sasa, he brings for me. Gloating because he'll be rewarded for bringing me there. Me, I looked at that thing, I just started laughing. I'm so broke, I've not eaten. Yesterday was Saturday, today is Sunday, tomorrow is Monday. I will go to Kileleshwa, uko ndio nitakula nikifanya job. I just started laughing. Nimwambia aje, I just gave him, just tell him, just take it back to him. Just started laughing. Sasa, what is this? Wewe nani? Mjui yo. Akaanza kutetemeka. He went back. Said, take it back, man. Do what you want with it. Or come for me, I don't care. Hey, the guy came back. Letter of apology from the kingpin. Very sorry.
Apologizing to you now.
To disturb you on Sunday. Pay us a visit soon. And I imeandikwa to broker, but that was the gist of it. You could see they have taken time to word it. So later on I asked, then they got a guy to mind me, another young guy, pia anasema yeye ni msanii. Aso jamaa ndio alikuwa anakuja can introduce to me, akwange na mimi. Either to find out more about me or I don't know.
You are a mysterious figure.
Yes.
And maybe they knew also about your background.
Nobody knew. So I lived there in the middle of criminals who paid me respect because they knew I'm a bigger criminal. So the word was, I have forged billions in a bank, I've gone to lie low. So that's how I stayed in Gando, and then I moved. I still meet some of those guys in Ngara. Unasimama tu pale, a rough guy comes and akusalimia, paka unaanza kushanga, hey, am I going to be mugged? Huko siku hizi hapa. Kumbe they are the same guys. So anyway, tukufanye na huyo jamaa, nikaacha kufanya naye, nikaenda nikaanza kukaa.
So are you now starting a career in graphic design?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.